There's so many different types of markets that you can trade. And I get this question, Barry, hey, should I trade stocks, forex, futures, options, cryptocurrencies? So today we're going to address two of those. We're going to address stocks versus options. Which one is the best for you? And I'll give you my very favorite that I personally trade, and that's changed, by the way. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a special bonus. When you buy a stock, you're essentially buying a portion of the company. You get ownership of the company that you're buying. And so a lot of people think that's very cool. And it can be very cool. I like to use stocks personally for investing. Two other ways of trading stocks would be day trading. That means you're in and out between when the market opens and when the market closes the same day. So very short term, you're in, you're out. And one of the beautiful things about that is you are not exposed to overnight risk. We all know that people can wake up in the morning. I know I've had this happen to me, where I wake up and, oh my gosh, my stock dropped 50% overnight. That actually happened to me one time right before Christmas. Not a good Christmas that year. And that's when I learned to trade options. So we'll get to that in just a moment and why I prefer to trade options. But intraday trading, you don't have to worry about the overnight risk. So what is overnight risk? Overnight risk is things like, news that comes out overseas, economic news. It could be just rumor and gossip. People respond to rumor, gossip. Even if it's not true, there can be a knee-jerk reaction emotionally to the market, and stocks can go careening up or careening down when you're not even able to trade it or get in or out. So that is one of the advantages of day trading, is you don't have that overnight risk exposure. And the practical advantage of that is you can sleep well at night. I know a lot of people who stay up at night or they're checking their cell phones. Oh, what's my stock doing? What's my stock doing? People get very, very obsessed with this. And their spouses usually don't enjoy that very much when they're laying next to their spouse in bed and they keep checking their cell phone to check on their stock position. So in that way, day trading can be a huge stress releaser. Now, what's swing trading? So swing trading has its advantages as well. And what that is, it means basically you are holding overnight. So you're holding for at least 2 trading days, normally more. So yes, you have the exposure to overnight risk. Now you can put in protective stops, but you don't have to sit there in front of the monitor all day long. And this is the downside of day trading. People don't like to sit. In fact, most people don't like to sit in front of the monitor and just sit there and watch the stock go up and down and up and down, most of the time doing nothing. Sometimes just chopping sideways. It can get pretty boring, and a lot of people don't have the patience for it. And frankly, a very practical issue is a lot of people work during the day. They have to hold down a job. In fact, I would say the vast majority of people who start trading, including myself, we started when we had a job. And so it was just impossible to do day trading. So if you have a regular job, but you want to start learning how to trade, no problem. Swing trading is the way for you. And by the way, to balance that overnight risk, you can put in protective stops. Those work sometimes. Or, again, we'll get to options in just a moment, and that can help you as well. Well, let's talk about options. What are options? Let's start there. Options, you're not buying a share or portion of the company. You're actually buying a contract. And so they're not called shares, they're called contracts. In that contract, you don't own any of the company. You own a contract to buy some shares in that company, but you don't own the shares yet. So now, here's one of the things that you got to realize. Timing becomes very, very important when you're buying options, because that contract has an expiration date. So, in other words, you might say, okay, I will buy a contract where I can buy, and by the way, each contract controls 100 shares of a company. And that word is key there. You control those shares. You don't own them, but you control them. And that brings in the aspect of leverage with options. So, between now and you can set whatever date you want that's available. So, for example, you might say, okay, I want to have the right to buy 100 shares of Microsoft, for example, in September or up until September. So now you've got that amount of time. But in September, that contract expires worthless. So you better do something before September. Otherwise, you lose all the money invested in that contract. Now, again, the advantage of leverage is that because you're not buying all the shares, you're just buying a contract. The option, this is where the term options comes from, the option to buy those shares, you don't have to pay the full price of the shares. And so this is one of the big advantages of options, is you can trade with less money. You don't have to have as big of a trading account. And that's obviously very attractive, especially to new traders and frankly to most people, because for day trading stocks, normally you need about, if you're in the US, $25,000 in your account. Again, there's all kinds of rules about that. Talk to your broker to get these specific rules. But most people don't have that much money to day trade, and they definitely shouldn't, even if they have the money, be using that kind of money to day trade at the beginning anyway. So with options, you can use a lot less money, trade with a smaller account, and back to the risk parameters that we were talking about. If you lose on the option trade? Well, let's go back to the example that we gave. So let's say that overnight, the stock goes careening down and goes down 50%. You lost 50% of your money, but remember, you bought those shares at the value of the shares. Lots of money had to be put into that. With an option, you're just spending a small amount of money, or investing, I should say, a small amount of money, and that's the most that you can lose. Now, you can lose all of that investment, and so some people say, well, that's a negative, and it is, but what you want to do is you just say, okay, I will allocate, I'm comfortable risking this dollar amount, let's say it's $200. And so you buy an option for $200, and you cannot lose more than $200 if you're buying that option. You can lose it all, but again, you can limit your risk. Whereas in buying the stock, the risk, it could go down to zero and you lose all your money, which would be, again, a lot of money. So speaking of a lot of money, most people that I know like to make a lot of money, not a little bit of money, including myself. And that's why I love options. Again, they have leverage. So that means with a small amount of money, I can make a much bigger percentage return trading the options than I can on the stocks. A much bigger return. I'm talking 10, 20% more. So that's huge. So if you want to have a small account and get a big return, options is the way to go. And that's what I personally like to trade. I said at the beginning that I will share with you what I like to trade. I never ever swing trade stocks personally. I used to swing trade stocks, used to day trade stocks. I don't do either one of those anymore, simply because there's just, again, a limited return. That's not enough for my taste. But the risk is huge. So that risk reward, to me, doesn't make any sense, especially when there's a better option, and pun intended. Now, understand that when you have leverage, it is a two-edged sword. So yeah, the option can go down dramatically. Just as it'll go up faster, it'll go down faster too, percentage-wise. But dollar-wise, we don't get hurt as much because, again, and I should say, if do what you should do, which is risk management, money management. So my money management rule is I risk no more than 2% of my entire trading account at any one given trade. So even if the option expires worthless, even if September comes, for example, or October or November or December, and by the way, you can choose which your expiration date is for the option, depending on how long you want to hold on to it. And let's say that day comes and it's worth nothing. Now, I never hold on that long. That's just ridiculous. That's not good. I've never lost all of my money in an option. It's possible. That can happen. You need to know that. You need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. But for me, if it goes against me, then I just get out, I take my loss. And again, because of my risk management principles, I never lose, and I cannot lose more than 2% of my trading account on any one given trade. That is uber important. Now, whether you decide to trade stocks, options, or another market, it's very important to get fully educated on that market. This is just a brief overview, just a few pointers here, a few tips on how to determine which one you want to trade. They're all risky. All trading is risky. And I will tell you this as well. With options, they are more sophisticated, more complicated than trading stocks. So get a full education, no matter what you're trading, but especially options. There's other variables here I just don't have time to go into today. But make sure you get a full education. You do not want to risk your money without being fully educated. Now, I do have a free gift for all of you. And all my viewers, meaning you, get access to my rubber band trade. And this is a trade that I share with all of my viewers. And what I love to do is just give you a trade, help you start making some money before you spend any money. That's right. This is a free little mini course. And the rubber band trade is a trade that I take all the time. Every single time it sets up, I take it. Still to this day. It is a trade that works now in today's markets. And I'm going to give it to you for free. This way I can prove to you that what I share actually works, and it will work for you before you give me any money, or maybe you'll never give me any money. That's fine. Either way, we'll be friends. So get the rubber band trade. There should be a link, a video, picture somewhere around here. My editor's going to put it on there for me. Go get it. My gift to you.